Hey, welcome back to Bible and Blues. We are on episode 3 of our Taboo. And cool show. I think Mr. Delaney has woman problems. And these problems stem from everybody else trying to mess with him. That's okay, he's trying to mess with other people quite a bit. So, last episode, he was, get that out of the way. He was he'd been stabbed. He'd been an assassin tried to get him. So the assassin failed, but still wounded him. And we start off with Winter has found the body with some of her street urchin cohorts, and they go in there, and apparently the heart's been ripped out too. So of the assassin. So not only did he take a bite out of the dude's neck, he also ripped the heart out. I'm not sure. They didn't show that. So what do you do? Yeah. So anyway, she pulls a tooth out, the silver tooth, and mind you, that was the person whose boat he burned. So, ends up, but he wakes up. He's in the doctor, the spy, the American doctor he wakes up in that guy's office, and the guy's stitching him up, and stitching up the knife wound, and he's not really in a good position because you got to remember last time they met, this didn't end up really great for him. But the doctor's like, okay, why do you want to know who, why do you want to talk to Carlsbad, and Delaney's strapped to a table. He's shackled essentially to the table because they didn't have anesthesia at this point in time. So, in order to keep the patient still so they could do their work, they would shackle him down. And so, I guess it would work out pretty good if you were going to reset somebody's leg or, cut the leg off too. So he said they're stitching the guy up, and there's absolutely no anesthesia this time, so he's just dealing with it. That wouldn't be too comfortable either. The doctor's trying to figure out what does he want. He's actually willing to torture him to find out. Takes the knife that he was gutted with, that he was stabbed with, and he actually puts it right back on top of the wound that he just sewed up. And what do you want to talk to Carlsbad for? And so he's like, he finally tells him, and basically what he wants is exclusive rights, monopoly of the trading between that region with the furs and the other goods that are coming out of that region, which is a very, trust me, that's a very rich area with resources, and for exclusive rights to trade that with China for tea. And you can think about East India Company would not like this. They are the East India, trading company, and they trade, with India, with all that area. So, him having exclusive rights would be horrible. It was kind of their plan too, thing. So, spy doctor says, "What do you want? Why do you want to talk to her?" And he picks up on that. He was like, I did get something out of this. I now know that Carlsbad is. I don't know to look for a woman. Okay, so anyway, his whole plan kind of comes to the attention of the king. The king's because the East India Trading Company is dealing with it, and it's like, what? We need some extras here. Since he just got somebody just tried to kill him, he's got to board up all the windows. Back to James. So he's got to board up the windows in the house. He gets Atticus to buy him, get him some guns, and he meets Atticus on the dock. And mind you, he's still recovering from his wound. I mean, this is like really fresh. It's probably happened the same day as he left the doctor's office. He's still dealing with all this. I call it the doctor's office. That's kind of funny. So he gets guns. Atticus gives him some guns, and he hands Brace. He tells Brace, "There's a note on my desk in this room. it needs to be delivered, and then he goes to. I'm trying to make this a faster review, by the way. He goes to the lawyer's office, and the lawyer's like, "Oh, I do not want to deal with this guy," right? And the guy's secretary tells him, "Well, James is here to do his last will and testament." So, really, whoa, right? So, he has his last will and testament done, which we'll find out more about that in just a minute. So he's still looking for the treaty that got his dad possession of Nootka Sound, and the only place he hasn't looked yet is the cellar. He uses strange words to a certain extent, saying, "I've got to beat the tide," going down into the cellar. Well, I mean, you figure. I grew up in the Midwest, and I'm sure there's lots of other areas where water in your basement is a common thing. If your basement happens to be above the water table, or it just rains hard enough, you have water in your basement. No matter, as hard as you might try, you can still end up with it. So, back then they didn't have anywhere near the sealing techniques for brickwork and things like that. So, so he goes down into the cellar, and he's wading through water, and he's looking down there for things. And remember the lady in black? She's wearing this black dress with black feathers all over it, and she has her face was really dried out white painted clay all over it. So he finds the dress with that that she's in, and things are starting to click on us here. And then all of a sudden he's like. He's doing that. And he's seeing the vision of the woman in black with the face paint, and he's and then all of a sudden you hear him say, "Who's there? Where are you at? Show yourself," kind of thing. And it turns out Winter is there. Well, Winter actually, she says, "Yeah, sometimes I spend the night here." You spend the night in a wet, flooded cellar. I guess it's better than the whorehouse, brothel. So. Next up, he goes up to his mother's old room. His mother's old room is blocked up. He had to use a key to get in, and this is where his, she was essentially she was kept in here and locked away in here at the end of her life. So he spends some time in there. He deals with her face paint and with her makeup and stuff, and he's kind of putting her on his hands and stuff. And he's just kind of like, communing with his mother. I mean, you can imagine. So he has to deal with the loss of his parents and everything. He loved his mother, and so he goes to, so he's sitting there, and his back is against these boards, and all of a sudden he turns around, he looks, and he pulls the boards off, and it's the fireplace, right? And he kind of checks it out a little bit. Then he picks up ashes, and he has a pile of ashes. Nobody ever cleaned the hearth out. I would think they would clean the hearth out before they boarded it up. I don't know, just me, but he blows the ashes into the fireplace, and he sees the shape of the bird, and the shape that is carved into his back, on the fireplace, and that's what he sees. So then he backs up. He's sitting in a chair right by the door, and Brace comes in. And they talk for a few seconds. This is where his mother was kind of kept more or less, kept safe from herself, because she was losing it and everything. Bear in mind, she was a member of the Nootka Nation. She was a Native American, as the term we use today, the politically correct term we use today, and so. So I'm sure she was feeling the effects of being away from her own people and her own land and her own ways for so long too. On top of that, so she was probably trying to do some stuff in her way, which would have been viewed as crazy. So so James asked Brace, "How did that get there?" And Brace goes and looks, and it's not there. This is like one of those visions he's having, right? And we're seeing a lot of visions over time. I'm starting to feel like the guy actually isn't really playing with a full deck. We find out some more stuff about that. But he's so Bray says there's nothing there. Gives him, they talk about, his mother's last days, which he was in Africa during that part. But apparently he had been taken prisoner, and that bird was carved onto him at some point in time, whether he was prisoner or what, how it would happen. But I'm sure we're going to find out later on that holds much more significance. That and the tattoos, we'll find out those significance too. So, where are we? So that was in Mother's room. Okay, you're doing good time today. So it's next up, Sir Stuart Strange. Hey, side note, there was a Stuart Strange in the world around this time. And not this guy, though. There was a Stuart Strange, and actually Stuart Strange, I'll have to double check it again. I'll put it in the description below. But this particular Stuart Strange was not a successful businessman. It was not a successful adventurer. But the Stuart Strange part was actually the last part of his name. And so, like I said, I'll put the link below so you can get to it. I found some information about a Stuart Strange, an East India Trading Company involved in. Mostly it was India was what keyed it in. So anyway, this guy's not based in fact, is what that boils down to. So anyway, Sir Stuart Strange calls for the presence of Solomon Coop. Solomon Coop is King George's secretary, is the Prince Regent, the Regent's secretary. So, there's definite tension between the king, the regents, and the East India Trading Company. My furnace came on. I'm too deep into this. I'm not going to stop it this time. So bear with the background noise. So sorry. So they actually, there's definite tension there. I mean, East India Trading Company is making all this money off of trading with India, and India, and the crown's not getting that kind of stuff into that, and they want to be in that, and the trading company's stopping it. They kind of have a monopoly on that. So, and it turns out that they find something they can get behind, and they can get behind taking care of James Delaney. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It turns out how smart James really is, because what he did when he went to have his will drawn up, he had at the passing of his death, at his death, the land, the Nootka Sound, the whole thing, whole kit and caboodle, goes to the United States. So now they have to keep him alive. They have no choice. If he's dead, they have no access to this land, and they have no access to this stepping off point for the Far East trading. And he's very clear as what he wants. So they're going to come up with a new plan, and they're pretty good at conniving. Remember, if you have watched Game of Thrones and all that show, these guys knew what they were doing too. So anyway, so interesting thing coming up. James realizes he needs somebody inside the East India Trading Company, and he knows what to do. So he goes to I guess it's a brothel. I'm not sure, but it's a place for gay men to dress up as women and have and partake in their chosen lifestyle there. And it turns out gosh, what would you call him? Anyway, he sits in Godfrey. You remember Godfrey? He was the guy that's he's a younger guy. He does the notes. He writes down the information during meetings, and but he's present for all of them. He's one of these people. He's gay, and he dresses up, and he goes here to do that. Well, interestingly enough, Godfrey and James knew each other back in James's days as a person in the seminary for the East India Trading Company, and they didn't have a romantic relationship, but they remember each other, and Godfrey happened to actually have at one point in time been in love with James. So James is going to use this. He's going to use this to get information of what's going on in their meetings, so he can kind of keep abreast of what's going on and find out what's going to happen before it affects him, and use that information. So he's being pretty smart about it. Okay, moving on. The king decides to employ Lorna Bowe Delaney, the widow of James's father, and so what he's doing is he's giving her the ability to get into the house and claim 50%, and it's going to be a problem. So basically, James has developed a whole lot of woman problems here. Other problems are with his sister. They are completely incestuous relationship when they were younger, and so he'd like to continue it. She's fighting the whole concept. She's married. She wants to, not like she's happily married, but she doesn't want to go back into that. She has to be. She has a proper proper household, proper husband, presumably. How it is, and so they have these. They've been writing letters back and forth for some time now, trying to get. And he's surely her husband has seen something and has figured out what's going on. So Thorne comes to visit Delaney in his office on the docks, the one that used to be occupied as a brothel, and he's starts out sounding very civil and everything, and then talking about insurance, because that's what he does. He's in insurance, kind of a Lords of London though type insurance, insuring ships and things like that. So it's a high end, definitely. So he goes to he's there, and then and Delaney's like, well, I have insurance, thank you very much, kind of thing. And then Thorne starts to get really rude, starts talking about his wife, and pretty much trying to get under James's skin. And he kind of succeeds, not fully. James doesn't turn violent. I think it would bother most people if he had. So that's that part. Then afterwards, he meets with his sister in a church, and she's like, by the end of the meeting, no, they don't have sex. Sorry, spoilers. But they say, I never want to see you again. And he's like, you will. It's kind of creepy. I mean, like I say, he's the anti-hero. He did stuff growing up that we didn't. Nobody would approve of an incestuous relationship with your sister, and all this stuff, and being a slaver, running a slave ship, So anyway, that's good. So we're kind of finishing up here. This is actually one of the shortest ones I've done in a little bit, and I really appreciate that. Lorna has a place she's supposed to go to. She's now living in the house, and he's saying, no, don't go there, because he knows there's nothing but trouble coming. They're going to use her to get to him, essentially. And after the play, I mean, the people in the audience wanted to see the scantily clad woman, not this actual Shakespearean actress. So she's kind of storms out a little bit, a bit of a huff, and this woman in a carriage stops and talks and fawns over her like she's a fan. Gets her into the carriage, saying, "Hey, I'll give you a ride." And once she's in the carriage, she starts. The woman starts to come on to her. And Lorna apparently is not. Apparently, she is not a lesbian, so she's saying, she declines. And then they go to the wrong place. Turns out that she has essentially been sold for the evening. It says by the manager. Well, the actual, is actually probably all put together by Solomon Coop and Sir Stuart Strange, and those two got together and figured out this is a way to get at James. And so she's supposed to be sold to this Duke, and for the evening, and the Duke is there, and she gets out of the carriage, and there's the Duke, and he's like, he smacks her around, and he's all this and all, but James has been following the whole time, stops the whole thing. She stabs the guy in the neck with her. I think it looked like it was just a hat pin, and which those are long and sharp, and that would hurt. So he's like, "You'll be dead before you're gonna be executed before mass." So basically, so he takes her. Delaney takes her away, takes her back to the house, and Brace, of course, has a big old chip on his shoulder. He doesn't like Lorna being there. Yeah, okay. Neither does James. But James knows more trouble is coming. So that's how we end it. That's pretty much how we end the episode. There is a lot more trouble coming. This is a big game between James and the Americans, the Crown, and he's got everybody against him. I mean, he might be able to pull something off with us crazy Americans. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, that is the episode this week. It was only a couple of days late, so I did pretty good. Tuesday night I had my guitar lesson, which is the night this aired, and it airs so darn late, and then I get up at 5:30 in the morning, so I wasn't going to do a video after watching this till 10:30. And then last night I had something going on with church, so I didn't make it then. So I kind of left tonight. So here it is. It's Thursday night. This is what did you think of the show? Are you watching the show? You loving it? Do you like a little shorter review? It's look at 22 minutes right now, which last night's was a bit longer, a little more drawn out. I'm going to try to get them down a little shorter, see if I can get back down to 15 minutes on these things. I realized I was running really long, and I don't want to watch a review that long. So I'm trying to give you something more along the lines of what I want to see. So beyond that, have a great night. Tomorrow night is Emerald City. So pay attention. Coming up, Emerald City episode 5 is tomorrow night. Should be lots of fun. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.